Assalamu alaikum. This is Pratusha Burwa welcoming you to the English news from Btv-Chattogram. Let's begin with the top stories. Next election to set precedents for future ones in the country, hopes Chief Advisor. Symbols allocated in national polls campaign to begin tomorrow. Information advisor calls for voting yes in referendum for change as voting vehicle Super Caravan inaugurated in Faridpur. Sufferings of trial seekers, prison administration and lawyers to be reduced, says legal advisor as e-bill launched in 8 more districts. Formal trial begins against Shojib Wajid Joy and Junaid Ahmed Baluk on 3 charges of July uprising. No room for retreat as occupation of Greenland essential for United States, says President Donald Trump. And Rajshahi Warriors facing Sylhet Titans in Qualifier 2 of BPO. Viewers, those were the top stories. Now moving on to the details. A high-level meeting was held on the overall law and order situation ahead of the upcoming 13th parliamentary elections and the referendum on implementation of the July National Charter. The meeting was held at a state guest house, Jamuna, chaired by Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus. The Chief Advisor expressed hope that the 2026 election will set a precedent for the future elections in the country. After the meeting, Chief Advisor's Press Secretary Shufku Alam briefed the reporters at the Foreign Service Academy. He said for the first time, more than 1 lakh army will be deployed in this election.
আর আজকে জানানো হয় যে আর্মির তরফ থেকে মোট এই প্রথমবারের মতো 1 লক্ষ সেনাবাহিনীর মেম্বার থাকবেন। বাংলাদেশ নৌবাহিনীর 5000-এর উপরে থাকবেন, বাংলাদেশ বিমান বাহিনীর 3730 জনের উপরে থাকবেন, আর বাংলাদেশ পুলিশের থাকবেন প্রায় 1.5 লক্ষ, বাংলাদেশ আনসার গ্রাম প্রতিরক্ষা বাহিনীর 5,76,000, আর বর্ডার গার্ডের থাকবেন প্রায় 38,000, বাংলাদেশ কোস্ট গার্ডের 3500 উপরে, র্যাবের থাকবেন প্রায় 8,000 এবং ফায়ার সার্ভিস সিভিল ডিফেন্স অধিদপ্তরের থাকবেন আরও 13,390 জন। চিফ অ্যাডভাইজার উনি বলেছেন যে এই ইলেকশনটা যাতে নিখুঁতভাবে হয় এবং এটা যাতে আমরা গর্বের সাথে বলতে পারি যে খুব ভালো একটা ইলেকশন হয়েছে, আর এটার উনি এই যা কর্মযোগ্য হচ্ছে সব কিছুর ক্ষেত্রে আরও ভালোভাবে এইটাকে আরও কত বেটার করা যায় সে বিষয়ে উনি জোর দিয়েছেন। বলেছেন যে ইলেকশন কমিশনকে এই ইলেকশনের বিষয়ে যত ধরনের সহযোগিতা লাগে এটা গভর্নমেন্ট থেকে পুরোপুরি সহযোগিতা দেওয়া হবে। অ্যাডভাইজার আরেকটা কথা বলেছেন যে ইলেকশনের সময় যাতে আনইন্টারাপ্টেড পাওয়ার সাপ্লাই থাকে এই বিষয়ে উনি জোর দিয়েছেন এবং এনার্জি অ্যাডভাইজার বলেছেন যে উনি এই বিষয়ে সর্বোচ্চ এফোর্ট দিবেন এবং এটা ইনশিওর করা।
The symbols have been officially allotted to the party and independent candidates for the 13th National Parliamentary election. Candidates will be able to officially begin their election campaigns from tomorrow, Thursday, which will continue until 48 hours before voting. From the morning, the returning officers began allotting symbols to candidates for 298 constituencies across 64 districts of the country. In Dhaka as well, symbols were allotted for 20 constituencies through the offices of 3 returning officers. However, before distributing the symbols, candidates and their representatives were given detailed instructions on adhering to the Code of Conduct. During this time, candidates expressed concerns about their personal security and demanded equal opportunities for all. The use of posters has been prohibited in this election campaign. Additionally, the Election Commission has stipulated that violating the Code of Conduct could result in a fine of 1,50,000 taka and cancellation of candidacy. Meanwhile, the symbol allocation for candidates contesting the 13th National Parliament election and the upcoming referendum was officially completed in Chattogram today. Following the completion of nomination scrutiny and the withdrawal process, a total of 111 candidates remain in the race across 16 constituencies in the district. Divisional Commissioner Dr. Muhammad Ziauddin oversaw the allocation for Chattogram 4, 5, 8, 9 and 10 constituencies. Deputy Commissioner Muhammad Zahidul Islam Mia managed the symbol distribution for the remaining Chattogram 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 12, 13, 14, 16 and 15 and 16 constituencies. During the event, returning officers handed over the designated election symbols to the candidates and their authorized representatives. Alongside the allocation, the administration held a briefing session regarding the Electoral Code of Conduct. Election officials issued a stern warning to all candidates, emphasizing that the severity of legal action would correspond indirectly to the gravity of any code violations. With the symbols now assigned, the official election campaign is set to begin tomorrow. Candidates will be allowed to conduct public meetings, processions, and door-to-door campaigning until the designated deadline before the polls. Expatriate voters registered through the Postal Vote BD app will be able to cast their ballots for the upcoming 13th Jatiya Sangshad elections and referendum from 5 p.m. today. The Election Commission has instructed voters to follow the prescribed procedure available on its website or app to select their candidate and symbol in their respective constituency. According to the AC schedule, expatriates must send their completed postal ballots to the office of the returning officer of their constituency in Bangladesh by January 25. In a message issued today, the AC informed registered expatriate voters that they may exercise their franchise from January 21 by following the designated process on the mobile app. Voters are required to send back deposit the yellow envelope containing their ballot at the nearest post office or mailbox by January 25. Another EC message assured that the Postal Vote BD app has adequate security measures in place, ensuring that no voter's ballot can be cast by another person and the secrecy of the vote remains protected. According to EC data, a total of 15,33,683 voters from home and abroad have registered through the Postal Vote BD app to participate in the 13th general elections and referendum. Simply changing people will not bring result if the system itself is not changed. To achieve this, Information and Broadcasting Advisor Soeda Rizwana Hassan has urged citizens to vote yes in the referendum. She made the urge in the morning at the inauguration ceremony of the Super Caravan and Vote Rickshaw organized by the Faridpur District Administration on the occasion of the National Parliamentary Elections and Referendum in Faridpur. The Information and Broadcasting Advisor said that the voting is not only a right but also a responsibility. By voting yes in the referendum, the rule of law will be strengthened in the country, the abuse of power will decrease, and true control of nation will rest in the hands of the people. She added that both the government and opposition parties will be able to play responsible roles in state governance. Chief Coordinator for SDGs Lamia Morshid from the Chief Advisor's Office, Mahabuba Farzana, Secretary of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, and Faridpur District Commissioner Muhammad Kamrul Hassan Mullah. Later, a colorful rally was held. The rally started from the district commissioner's office and paraded main roads of the town and ended at Ombika Maidan. Following this, a discussion meeting on promoting awareness and participation in the referendum was organized at Ombika Maidan by the district administration. Presiding over the meeting, Soida Rizwana Hassan, as the chief guest, said that the entire nation, voters, political parties and the government are ready for the election on the 12th. She called on citizens to vote yes for the creation of a new Bangladesh. She further stated that if the yes vote prevails in the referendum, opposition parties will be able to secure positions such as Deputy Speaker and leadership of important parliamentary committees, ensuring accountability. Additionally, no individual will be allowed to serve as Prime Minister for more than 10 years, which will foster leadership and political interest among the youth and empower women. At the discussion meeting, Information and Broadcasting Secretary Mahbooba Farzana said that starting from January 25, vote rickshaws will be launched in all unions nationwide to raise voter awareness ahead of the referendum and national parliamentary elections. Among others, Lamia Morshid, Chief Coordinator for SDGs from the Chief Advisor's Office, and Police Superintendent Muhammad Nazrul Islam also spoke at the meeting. From the streets to the polling stations, every place is abuzz with news and discussions of election. On the one hand, preparations are being made to form a new government. On the other hand, the people's verdict on the question of constitutional reform. The people's yes vote on the implementation of the interim government's proposed July Charter is being seen as the key to building a future Bangladesh without discrimination. Fundamental changes such as limiting the power of the Prime Minister or Chief Advisor, independence of the judiciary and bicameral parliament depend on the results of the referendum. Conscious civil society and the government are calling for the opportunity not to come again and again. Participation in the referendum is essential to transform the spirit of the July mass uprising into a state structure. A massive campaign is being run to highlight the importance of the yes vote, especially among young voters. Political analysts say that after a long time, the people have got the opportunity to directly participate in determining the state's policies, which will enable the general public of the country to ensure a sustainable and democratic constitution. The 13th National Parliament election on February 12 is not just a vote, but the people of the country are waiting for the beginning of a new era. The referendum is now at the center of discussion. The Election Commission and local administration have already completed all preparations to hold a free and fair election. Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs Advisor Dr. Asif Nazrul has said the e-bail bond management system is a landmark step in the digital transformation of the country's judiciary. The law advisor made the remarks while virtually launching the e-bail bond system in 8 additional districts from his secretariat office today. The law advisor said the system will significantly improve transparency, accountability, and efficiency in the bail process. The system has been introduced in Maniganj, Bandarban, Mehirpur, Jaipurhat, Molobi Bazar, Panchgad, Chalukati and Sherpur today, with a view to reducing long-standing delays, eliminating bureaucratic hurdles and strengthening transparency in the bail process. Dr. Asif Nazrul said that prior to the introduction of the digital system, accused persons often had to go through multiple manual procedures even after bail was granted, causing unnecessary delays, additional financial burden, and severe mental distress for them and their families. In many cases, individuals remained in jail for several days or even weeks despite having bail. There was little transparency or accountability, and it was difficult to identify where delays occurred, he said. Under the new system, he said, once a judge digitally signs a bail order, the bail bond is automatically and instantly will be transmitted to the jail authorities. As a result, detainees are now being released within a few hours or at best within a day. The system records who signs what and when, ensuring full transparency and strong accountability, he said. The e-bail bond system was first launched in Naranganj on October 15 in 2025 and has been operating successfully since then, he added. The advisor added that the initiative has reduced unnecessary time loss, financial costs and mental sufferings for litigants, cut travel expenses for accused persons and their families, and helped the government save prison management costs. Testimony began today in the war crimes case over enforced disappearance and torture at the TFI cell during the rule of fallen Awami League against 17 individuals, including Sheikh Hasina and 11 former and current military officers. The first witness in this case is Arman, a victim of enforced disappearance. The testimony commenced at the Tribunal 1 led by Judge Ghulam Murtuza Majumdar. Earlier Chief Prosecutor Muhammad Tajul Islam presented the opening statement for the case. Meanwhile, Tribunal 1 has ordered the formal start of trial in the case against ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's son Shojib Wajid Joy and former ICT Minister Junaid Ahmed Balog over 3 specific charges, including giving orders to shut down the internet and killings during the July uprising. The opening statement and testimony in this case will begin on February 18. On the other hand, at Tribunal 2, testimony took place in the case against Jashul Prison Hassanul Haq Inu over 8 specific charges, including the killing of 6 people in Kushtia during the July uprising. Today, the tribunal heard the testimony of the case's 10th witness, Abdullah Al-Mamun. Additionally, at this tribunal, the prosecution began presenting arguments in the case of the killings of the first martyr of the July uprising, Rangpur student Abu Said. Meanwhile, Prosecutor Ghazi Monwar Hussain Tamim stated that the prosecution has received an application for surrender from Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. Now, international news. US President Donald Trump has doubled down on his threats to take control of Greenland, saying there is no going back. It comes after French President Emmanuel Macron warned of a shift towards a world without rules, and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said the old order is not coming back. Trump was due to arrive in Davos ahead of his speech at the World Economic Forum on Wednesday, but a minor electrical issue on Air Force One forced the plane to turn around. Meanwhile, US President said that the United Nations should continue because of its potential, but the Board of Peace he proposed might replace the organization. In his address that lasted for nearly 2 hours at the White House press briefing to mark the first anniversary of his second term, Trump repeatedly criticized the United Nations as being ineffective in ending wars, adding that it should continue to exist because the potential is so great. The Board of Peace was originally proposed as part of the U.S. drafted 20-point peace plan to end the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and help reconstruct the Gaza Strip. Meanwhile, US President Trump on Tuesday shared a map of the United States that showed Canada, Venezuela, and Greenland as part of US territory. The image was posted on his social media platform Truth Social and appeared to be created using artificial intelligence. The post quickly drew attention as it came at a time of growing tension between Trump and several European countries, especially over Greenland. The Syrian government has announced a 4-day ceasefire with the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces (SDF) after the army continued to seize territory in the country's northeast following lightning advances. The Syrian army announced the ceasefire, which came into effect at 8 p.m. on Tuesday. It also said it had asked the SDF to provide the name of a candidate for the role of assistant to the defense minister in Damascus as part of efforts to integrate the Kurds into the Syrian state. The SDF confirmed it had accepted the ceasefire and said it would engage in military actions unless attacked. However, shortly after the ceasefire came into effect, the SDF claimed that government-allied groups were launching an attack using heavy weapons on the village of Telbarud along the Abayas Road south of Hisaka. The gunman who killed Japan's former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has been sentenced to life in prison more than 3 years after the politician's assassination in broad daylight shocked the world. Judge Shinichi Tanaka handed down the sentence against Tetsuya Yamagami on Wednesday at a court in the city of Nara. Yamagami had admitted to fatally shooting Abe in 2022 in a crime that convulsed Japan, where gun violence is extremely rare. In Japan, a sentence of life imprisonment leaves open the possibility of parole, though experts say that many of those who receive the penalty die while incarcerated. Australia's parliament has voted for sweeping gun law reforms and a crackdown on hate speech a month after 2 attackers shot 15 people dead at a Jewish festival at Bondi Beach. Both bills passed the House of Representatives and Senate at a special sitting late on Tuesday. The gun reform measures include a national gun buyback scheme and new checks on firearm license applications. Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke said the Bondi gunmen would not legally have access to firearms if such a law had been in place prior to the attack, the country's worst mass shooting indicates. Governing Labour senators were backed on the anti-hate bill by the Liberal lawmakers, whose coalition partners abstained. After last month's mass shooting, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese came under the huge pressure for not having done enough to prevent the attack in the first place amid growing fears of anti-Semitism in the Jewish community. Now, sports news. BPO. Rajshahi Warriors set a target of 166 against Sylhet Titans in high-stakes qualifier 2 match of the Bangladesh Premier League at the Sheribanga National Cricket Stadium. The winner of this clash earns a spot in the final against the Chattogram Royals. Sylhet Titans won the toss and elected to bowl first. Opening batsmen Shahibzada Farhan and Tanzid Hassan Tamim provided a steady start, with Farhan looking particularly aggressive early on. However, Sylhet's bowlers have managed to keep the run rate under control.